Hello and welcome. It is the 9th day of April 2019. My name is Derek and welcome to the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades, and of the like, well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. Well, then, what do we see with Bitcoin? Well, today's session, yes, it's a lower high. It's a down day, down 1.3%, but prices remain well above the 18 average of highs, 18 average of lows, obviously above the lows as well. The uptrend move, it's still intact. And even the more short-term level of resistance, we'll see it better on a shorter-term time frame. But 5,000 in low change seems to be an area that short-term support could come in without even touching this 48 number. Although that most certainly can be one of the situations for, I have a thing that I can call it liftoff support, which is your first move. As we can see in here, and let's move it to the 4 hour, maybe we can see things a little bit better. That is when you have a break above it. So I'm going to discount this one here, but I won't on this one. So there's your, we'll call this the original break above what key point. And then you have in here where you attempt to lift off your first time from that point. You didn't make it. You try again, and you did make it. So there's your liftoff support. Now, usually this market can sometimes will have the higher highs, but even if not, there's been a good element of time. 18 average of lows has been support on several periods, but more importantly, there's been a couple of dozen since it lifted off from there. So the liftoff support came in. Now a more longer term support can still come in within this level as well. So the two areas of key support breaking down, we can see in here 5,000 in mid to low change, 5,004, 40, 30 in that ballpark area would be this point. And then again, from here, there's still a long ways to go for this move to be that of a failure, because for the longest of time on the daily term, it has been nothing but lower high matching high. And this is the first time we can say, well, this is a higher high from here, because this was a matching high from this, and this was pretty much a lower and matching to that. And of course, the down move before, every single one of these highs were either lower or matching. This one lower than here. This one was technically, I think, a base point, but it's the same as this. This one was lower than this. This one was lower than that. And you can say, well, this was a higher high to this and to these ones, yes, but it wasn't able to get above this. So therefore, getting above a couple of these shorter term lower highs, okay, that's an improvement. But when you do this and you top, as long as, that's why I talk about, well, find support at a key level. And we can see back in August how it didn't support where it had to around 68. And of course, time went by and it went down to 3,000, but it didn't make that higher high. This high, of course, we can see lower than that. This, of course, lower than all the previous ones before. And even this one was lower than the all-time ones. So with all of that being said, as we scroll back to today, and I think it's easy just for me to push this, which will fast forward it. There we have it. We're finally getting a case of the first significant higher high. And just as I mentioned before, how that 6,000 whatever number was so important, holding a 61.8% on this is really important. Now what we can do here, I'm not going to put the lines in here, but if there is going to be any type of corrections, I'm going to be looking at Fibonacci from these lows at around 3,100 and a quarter. So let's bring up the Fibonacci spread or the calculator. I'll put in 3125, that represents the low. And the high of about 53, I believe. Let's see, what do we got here? We have 53.45 and then 53.52. So we'll do 53.50. The must hold right now, we got 38.38 to me. That really comes in at that must hold area. And that's a pierce below this little level in here. But then again, that's the numbers I'm looking for if it's going to go down now. The numbers before then are represented in at 4,357 and 4,712. So 4,712. I mean, they really don't, I mean, it's a pierce below, but again, when I see how this number is noticeably below here for a fib level, and this one's in the middle of these two, this gives me good indication that this move, as it's been painting out for quite some time, is still doing what it's supposed to do. It's just taking it's doing it on low volatility right now, and breaking this resistance could probably change that. But because we've seen in here no resistance here, short-term support, which was the 2-day liftoff support, hasn't been near it since. So, well, if we're not resisting this, usually we have a fast move or a dominant move of some sort to the next one. If it does like 15, 20 periods like this and grinds its way higher to 63, well, that still counts to me as a fast move. So, and if it doesn't, that's most certainly a failed breakout above this level. But I think probability odds for this move to be a real one in whichever form and not be a fake out, yeah, I think that's probably going to be pretty good. And as I've been mentioning before, start of the year, there's usually great moves. April has historically been an interesting month. Last year was the April Fool's rally. We're only in the second week of the month now. And price is going to do, of course, what it's going to do. And let's now move on to Litecoin. Bitcoin's the second largest that I got. This one, Litecoin, is my largest holding. And it's up to 87.49. And since the bottom at around 22, it's had about 4x move almost. And from its high, it has a little better. And let me just replace this with I got Bitstep. Let me put the Poloniex one in. And I think I accidentally would have removed my lines in here. But 125 represents a 61.8% Fibonacci from this low to this high. And it's a number right around this resistance in this high 60s area represented the first one. So it got above this convincingly. Having a very nice move thus far on the weekly. Obviously, the buyers are in control of this market. And in a bull market, you have prices above it and then correcting within it, sort of like in this bear market. There's inside it, below it. Resisting the, just always stand below it here. Having a little move in here, breaking down. And of course, this now doing the opposite, staying above this level. And when these things go, we can see this is like, oh, this is way overbought. Yeah, it was way overbought back in April 2017 when it was $15 as well. Just something to keep in mind that when these things go, they can most certainly do it. And after this move in here, we can see that it had just a couple small up weeks and then these just sideways moves at 60. I mean, maybe the same thing happens again. We get 3 periods in the sideways movement and then it goes later. I don't think 100 is going to be that much resistance, but right now it has most certainly been. And if this doesn't break out above it in the within this week, then yeah, it's going to be resistance at least an okay level or more than the very short-term time frame, which is all I was expecting it to be. And so time will go on, and either the market goes up or down, and I can guess and try to predict it. I can put my money where my mouth is, if you will, make bets here and there. On the long-term time frame, of course, I am doing such. And when it goes up, I'll do whatever trades are needed. When it goes down, same thing. DGB, that's the next one. It represents the third highest level coin that I have in dollar value. And it's been going down. It was at 400. Before here, it was at 237. So let's do some Fibonacci because it looks like we're at about 61.8% down. I got 268 as its low, and I know 400 was the high. So we got key numbers at 312. 343 and the 23.6 at 295. It was 237, 400, and yep, this all is correct. So it's not holding. Okay, this is just another poor logarithmic chart, I'm guessing, because this doesn't look like where a 76.4% down move should be. Let me just take a look at this on CoinMarketCap quickly. And let's put this in a log scale. And this is how it looks logarithmically from 2014. So it's still holding in this sideways range. So here's the lows at about 238. There's the highs near 400. Now this 400 is a little higher. But this general area here, what's the highs in here? 251, 263. To me, that must hold area is in and around this level. And therefore, it's gone down more than I would have liked it to. But you know what? All I want from DGB is something long term that's not going to just go way down here and crash to nothing. I know it could. This thing can also have big moves up, and that's what I'm looking for is decent sized moves. Because if this goes way down and goes down to say 160 and then goes back out to 800 and then does all that type of stuff, then my trades accordingly are going to work out really good. Now I want to switch this over to the Trezor wallet. This is a sneak peek of what it looked like earlier today. When you get a wallet, you need a name. This is Derek Begg, basically. And what I like is I can add multiple accounts. I wish I could name them different, although for me, account 1 means DGB trade against Litecoin. Account 2 is DGB against NLC2, and account 3 is DGB against GRS. And I expect account 4 and account 5 and maybe 6 to be added once I get my funds back from Cryptopia and decide what I'm going to trade it with. But because a lot of times it's going to be okay, I need to sell 15, 20, 25% of what I own, then I'm doing pretty good this way because I can be like, oh, okay, I need to sell 20% here. I got 25,000. Okay, that's about 4,000, 5,000, 46. Consider it that way. And as I've been playing those, if you've been watching me with that black screen where I push, where I just sell whatever I on like together, I'm basically doing it the exact same way. A little more like position sizes. I'm taking more time being real life, and I have that extra time because, as we can see here, March 27th, I at 3:25 I added some, and then 9:45 a.m. the next day I added some. And then on April the 3rd, I added quite a significant amount higher again. And when the ratio goes in, this is a say against Litecoin, and well, if it goes higher, then I'll have to add more to this, meaning I'll take the Litecoin from I'll click up here, go to Litecoin, and I would send that to the exchange. Then I would sell it for Bitcoin. Then I would buy DGB and I would send it here. And done. And if the opposite happens, say DGB has a huge rally or Litecoin goes down, then I would take some of these coins to the hardware or to like Poloniex, sell it on the market, buy Litecoin, and then move it on here towards such. Just a fun thing to do. Let's move on next to XBY. And we're looking at the 12-hour term time frame on Coin Exchange. This is from its start. Now, originally there was a lot of great selling opportunities in here. As getting 300 and above, obviously in here, right in here, lots of great selling. And then you had the buybacks in here. Next round of selling, not quite as high. A nice little sell opportunity here. But now it's down to 152 as the last trade. Okay. I didn't get the bottom there. I got 150 waiting. And I also got like 130 something and 100, maybe another one in between. And if it goes lower, I'll take some Bitcoin and buy some more because it's part of my game again to see during the situation how many can I get. One by one, coins are being added on Cryptopia on the exchange, yet the wallets remain offline. And it's offline right now on Cryptopia. When that happens, those markets are most certainly going to sell off with this going down. I would not be surprised if it does go down towards here. And this is the part where I'll try to accumulate as much as I can. And then trade one of it with DGB probably. And then probably trade some of it against Bitcoin. That's most likely how I'm going to do it. Trade against two different crosses. And keep on going from there. And let's finish this off within chart request. And what I've been doing is, if in the last 24 hours or since the last day, if someone, if I notice there's a request, I'll get towards one per day, and it would be a very brief, quick look at it. And if I'm receiving a Bitcoin gift or even a Litecoin gift, because I've put the LTC address in the more information box as well too, and you want something shown, I'm going to show a very much more in-depth analysis. And if there's something you're looking for, because you can say, hey, this is, can you please check this coin out for me? And I can give you a good base general view. But if there's anything in particular, maybe you're trying to enter into a position, maybe you're trying to, you got a whole bunch and you want to sell some. Maybe you are entering into a day trade, you're looking for, okay, this is any type of specifics within it can really help on the analysis. And or something, maybe I'm looking to, like you talk about the two coins together, and maybe you want to see how this coin and another coin gets traded together. I can put up the history, I can play a version of that game as well, any different thing in that type of nature. And again, let me know. And so far, this channel for the year, I've had one gift this year worth about $100, and I've received in ad revenues of like 3 months plus a week, looking at probably maybe a bit more than that 100. So 120, 140. It's not much, but getting 200 views a day. And I'm not really looking to really for any type of significant profit from this channel by any means. Because when I started trading back in February 2017, this was basically how much US dollars I had to start with. But 500 Canadian it was, so whatever that was in US form, and this is US dollars as well too. That's what I started with. Started with Bella Coin, and then that transitioned into PivX, transitioning into XBY, transitioning into Komodo, and so many other different trades, Litecoin there after that as well. And nowadays it's DGB. But this is just like a whatever. This is my highest 4-digit ownership. I got two worth 5 digits, that being Bitcoin and Litecoin each. But overall, I'm doing well. And as I look at it on an investing level, and I've talked about this many a times before, and I think the best words to use it is the dartboard rallies. I don't know if there's another better term, and well, I want to use adjectives in the form to be defined as when everything goes up together and at good rates, as was the case in the spring of 2017. DGB went from about 27 Satoshi up to about 2,500. Just wow, amazing. And then we can see here in 2018, at the end of 2017, in this case, it went from about 80 up to about 800, a 10x move. April Fool's rally last year. Well, there's April 2nd at the low. And there we have the higher end, April 30th, a little bit of a decent move. Well, I'm expecting the dartboard rally to be like to happen again. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, it's pretty much the end of cryptos. And if that's the case, that's what it is. But in situations where if any type of 2017 repeats come in and these things go higher, well, if I can turn $500 into what I have today, then what can I do with a good 5-figure number? That is how I look at the game. And in such, when you're having massive volatility, well, you can do what they say, profit from it. There are several ways of doing it. Of course, always understanding the risk and reward, that whatever you put into the market, well, that's always what you're risking. Okay. And the rewards, of course, just can be fantastic in this game. I mean, there's always a little bit of regrets from what I make, and then I learn from them, like, oh man, I only started with 500. I could have started with more. Or situations like, oh, I could have sold more at this point, or I knew I should have sold it here. And another example is, let's go to Theta now. As on the weekly chart, we can see it holding in there on the 18 average of lows. On the daily, not quite at this 2000 fib number. Not yet. What I was thinking of here when it got up here was literally selling everything that I owned, like 100%. What would have happened had I done that is I would have had some small buying up here. That would have enabled me not only to sell back at the previous 3600, 37 high, but one more shot up here, which would have been nice. And then I would have had some buying back in here. I would have really selling from this point on would have been very rare. And then just getting a whole bunch of buybacks. I'd be in so much better shape because I would have probably easily have bought definitely what I've sold back, meaning for every one theta that I sold, I should have bought back 1.05 and still have buybacks waiting to go at the 2000 handle, and then even ready below that for that matter. But uh, that's how it is. And with XBY, I can put that chart back up again. I have been taking a lot more of these aggressive chances in situations where it's okay, time to sell everything type of moves. I think one of the times in which I did that would have been around in here. I think it was. I was like, okay, it's breaking down. I can sell everything I got. I know it's going under 200 and lower anyway. Oh, got my buyback. Sweet. And I came close to selling everything. And I probably should have. And I seen the opportunities where I had it before these down moves. But I still sold 80% of what I bought back in here. And now I own more right now than I've ever owned on this particular site. And that's what I got to continue to do, at least with some codes. Like, okay, it's a smart time to take a chance here. And then if you're right, like, okay, I'm going to make an aggressive sell when you know it's going to go down, and you're right, well, you're going to win on it because, say, for every one I sell, I might get 1.3 back. Or I'll just buy it back, and then the remainder of the difference is like Bitcoin profit that can be used maybe to buy silver with, or just to hold on Bitcoin, buy other coins, and anything of that nature. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.